Howdy folks, and welcome to another episode of Groovy Geeky. This is going to be another somewhat short episode compared to what I usually do, but this is going to be the case for a while whilst I'm working on other projects. Now, if you know me, one of the things you'll note is that my favourite video game series is probably the Koei Tecmo Dynasty Warriors series. Oh god, lots of games, and maybe not this one. And there was one that I was interested in when it came out, but I've only recently got around to getting it and playing through it solidly and completing it because it's such a great game. And that is Beserk and the Band of the Hawk. Now, I wasn't aware of this, but Beserk, the manga and anime series, hugely influenced not just the Dynasty Warriors games, but Japanese fantasy games. Well, modern Japanese fantasy as a whole. And in this episode, we're going to have a little bit of a look on the influence of Beserk, as well as a little review of that amazing game. It is like one of the best Warriors games in many years. Beserk is a hugely influential franchise, which began in 1989 as a manga or comic by Kentaro Miura, focusing on the journey of Guts, a mercenary on a quest for vengeance. It took influence from fantasy and sci-fi novels and manga and combined them with an almost fetishistic, violent edge. Indeed, the dark sexual element of Beserk is something which makes it stand out amongst its many imitators, feeling more like Hellraiser than Lord of the Rings. Did I say imitators? Oh yes. Beserk pretty much started the trend of near-silent, spiky-haired guys with swords bigger than they are. Its influence ran the gamut of manga, anime and video games, with perhaps the most noticeable series influenced by it being Dark Souls, Bloodborne and Dynasty Warriors, where the Soulsborne games took influence from Beserk's dark, supernatural, fetishized elements. The Dynasty Warriors games drew from its epic battles, designs, and especially its ridiculous weapons. Other notable series influenced by Beserk include Soul Calibur, Goblin Slayer, Dragon's Dogma, Bayonetta, Monster Hunter, Final Fantasy. The list is endless. But yeah, Dynasty Warriors seems one of the most obvious, with characters flailing giant swords around and single-handedly killing thousands whilst wearing heavily stylized armour. So, for a company so heavily inspired by Beserk, it's only natural that they would end up creating their own game based on the franchise, and that game is Beserk and the Band of the Hawk. Beserk and the Band of the Hawk is something of a traditional Musou Warriors game that Koei Tecmo sort of put out on a regular basis. However, it does feel somewhat different from their usual fare, and in a very good way too. Like, first, most noticeably, is how the game feels. Guts, the main character, feels really heavy, like the game has a weight to it that other Warriors games tend not to have. And there is definitely you feel when you strike enemies with your sword. There is a limited roster, but this works in the game's strength as each character feels different and unique, as opposed to Dynasty Warriors 9's 500 characters, yet it only feels like there's 10 different playable characters. And also, this game features blood and gore, which is rare as the Warriors games tend to have flashes of light to signify hits and damage. So that, visually and in terms of how it feels, creates a whole different experience for the game, but it still has the typical big fun battles that you expect from Koei Tecmo's Warriors games. The level design is really good, and it seems that when they have to create something wholly new and not rely on the same assets, they're able to do some really great stuff. Here you've got a variety of areas ranging from your traditional fantasy stuff, so you've got your forests and fields and ruins and castles and demon world and stuff, and that it all feels fun and good. And the levels, a lot of them have sub-missions to complete to unlock sort of parts of a lame image that you can view in a viewer. Like the sub-missions themselves are fun and add replayability to the levels when they're not like part of the main mission, but the rewards are pretty bad. But that doesn't really matter that much. For me, one of the strongest sticking points of the game is the boss battles. Koei Tecmo have been paying attention to Dark Souls, which kind of funny because Dark Souls is also inspired by Beserk, with their massive bosses that you actually have to dodge and roll and get them when they're weak and stuff, and it feels like they put a lot of effort into the boss battles such as Nosferatu, Zod and all of that, and they're just really fun to play. Real fun fights that can get quite challenging, and it's different. It's what we've wanted from Koei Tecmo for so long, is for them to do something fresh and different from what they usually do, and small little changes like having different boss battles just add up to making this game stand out compared to the others. The game follows the story of Beserk, but because Beserk is quite famously unfinished, the game ends at an arbitrary point and it feels very sudden. But the story is incredible because it's like a well-written story, and the game uses scenes from an anime rendition during the earlier stages of the game to tell the story, and it's really good, really emotive. You feel Guts' betrayal, and it is the best Warriors game I've played in quite a few years. Thanks for watching this episode. If you'd like to see more episodes on cool, groovy, geeky, gamey, musicy stuff, then subscribe to the channel and ring that bell. And if you want to be a groovy cat, leave a comment and a like, and I'll love you. Bye!